Not a fan of exercising? You're not alone. I'm Zane, a board-certified primary care doctor, and in this video we'll talk about a few different activities that aren't exercise that can still be good for your health. For example, washing your car can be a great form of healthy physical activity. Oh wait, I guess you actually have to wash the car yourself? Most adults would benefit from regular physical activity, but for someone who hates exercise, it might seem like experts recommend 30 minutes of torture 5 days a week. But staying sedentary can lead to chronic pain and a lifetime of diseases and disability that make it harder overall to just move around and do the things that you want to do in life. Being able to regularly engage in some form of physical activity is important because in addition to helping us stay mobile and pain-free, staying active can help keep our brains, hearts, and blood vessels healthy. A brilliant physical therapist I once worked with told me, move today how you want to move in 10 years. In other words, staying active now keeps people active in the future by keeping them healthier. But what if you hate exercise? Are you doomed because you can't stand treadmills or lifting? Not necessarily. If you don't like exercising formally or doing things like swimming, playing sports, or climbing stairs like crazy people, there is hope. So let's go over a few activities that people can do to still benefit their health, even if they're not a fan of formal exercise. And be sure to stay till the end for answers to some commonly asked questions about getting enough physical activity. Keep in mind though, doing things we enjoy makes us more likely to stick with them and build good habits. On that note, this first non-exercise activity has been proven to improve your health, and it's a lot of fun too. Almost every type of dancing from tap to salsa can be an excellent form of exercise and have a lot of health benefits as a result. Not only does dancing improve body composition, but you know that regularly breaking it down to your favorite song can lower cholesterol and inflammation. Not only that, it can also improve flexibility, balance, and strength. Wait, so do TikTok videos count? Well, I don't know if all of them would be considered moderate intensity, but maybe. And look, whether you have moves like Usher or dance like Elaine from Seinfeld, there's always the option of throwing on some music at home and having a quick non-workout in your living room. On that note, playing most instruments like the piano is considered light intensity activity, and experts recommend 2.5 to 5 hours of moderate intensity activity a week. But there are at least 3 instruments that require a higher amount of effort to play, a moderate amount of effort. They are playing the drums, playing the guitar while standing, and playing the trombone. And if someone can do all 3 at the same time, well, then they're probably pretty talented. So real quick, regularly engaging in moderate intensity physical activity has been shown to help you live longer, but what does moderate intensity exactly mean? So moderate intensity activities are those that get you moving enough to break a sweat and breathe a little harder, but still be able to hold a conversation. Another way to look at it is through a standard measurement called a MET, or a metabolic equivalent. Your resting metabolic rate, or the energy your body burns while sitting quietly, is equivalent to 1 MET. And moderate intensity activities are between 3 and 6 METs, so they burn between 3 to 6 times your resting metabolic rate. Of course, there are a lot of variables involved here, like exactly what specific activities someone is doing when they do something like gardening, for example. So let's break it down. This is my friend Plantonio Plantaris. Say hi, Plantonio. Gardening involves a lot of different tasks like digging, raking, and watering plants. Low-intensity tasks often use just the upper body, like watering plants, and they're around about 1.7 to 3 METs. And as we'll talk about later, light intensity activities can still be beneficial, especially for older people. Moderate intensity tasks are, again, in that 3 to 6 MET range and often involve both the upper and lower body, but don't have to. Some examples include mowing the lawn, digging, pulling weeds, and raking. For reference, vigorous tasks are more than 6 METs and more intense than a lot of the other activities I mentioned earlier. Examples of these are carrying something heavy like a bag of fertilizer or shoveling snow. There's actually a list online with a lot of different activities and their associated metabolic equivalents. I'll put a link in the description below. Okay, so now that we've got that settled, let's talk about a few more non-exercise activities like walking. Now hear me out. Walking is a form of exercise, but it's also a method of transportation, a stress reduction technique, and a social activity for humans and animals. Walking is cheap and easy, and it's a great way to incorporate more physical activity. Walking the dog is considered to be like 3 mets, so it just meets the definition of moderate intensity, but whether it's adequate for you may depend on the dog and how fast you go. Walking like you're on a mission and increasing the speed to about 4 miles an hour or 1 mile in 15 minutes increases the intensity to about 5 mets. If walking outside seems boring, try throwing on a podcast like my friend Andrew's, who's also a doctor and talks about different health topics. Or if it's not too hot outside, or even if not, walking inside the mall can be a great option for a lot of people. And for the parents out there, pushing a stroller can help you meet your activity goals too. Taking the long way home so you can avoid the playground might help you get closer to your fitness goals even if you're further from your destination. And playing outside or around the house with your kids can benefit both you and them, because kids have an even higher physical activity requirement than adults do. For me, running around and playing with my nieces and nephews is perfect because I can give them right back to their parents afterwards. So you might be wondering, if playing with kids counts as physical activity, what about housework? Well, things like mopping, working in the kitchen, and vacuuming can be considered moderate intensity activities, and they can definitely be exhausting. But studies are mixed on whether household chores actually improve health and should be counted towards the weekly activity total. So for now, I'm not counting housework towards my activity goal. But what if you do exercise, but less than the recommended 2.5 to 5 hours a week? Well, anything is better than nothing. And there's even some research to suggest that people can get at least a partial benefit from some amount of exercise every week. So doing something, even if it's not the minimum recommended amount, could still help you live longer. What if you can't do moderate intensity activity for some reason? Just because an activity is under 3 mets doesn't mean it can't be good for your health. People with chronic diseases like rheumatoid arthritis or kidney disease may still benefit from regular activity that's light in intensity, like going for a stroll, playing with children or pets, and even going to a ceremony or actively participating in religious services. And older adults live longer on average if they engage in some form of activity regularly, even if it's light intensity, compared to those who are sedentary. Older women specifically may benefit from a reduced risk of heart disease with light activity alone. So, the moral of the story? Doing some form of activity is better than doing nothing. If the thought of even resembling a gym rat freaks you out, or you're just not in the mood for a typical type of exercise, then I hope this video helped give you some ideas and inspiration to help you stay active regardless of how you do it. And I hope this information helps you on your journey to a long, happy, and healthy life. Peace, and see you in the next one.